In this week's episode, you'll learn how to quietly build emotional intelligence into what you're already doing so your classroom has fewer blow-ups, more resilience, and better relationships without losing precious classroom content time. Welcome to the Voice of the Student podcast, where real student stories meet the science of well-being, energy, and learning. I'm Dr. Kelley Spence, a well-being specialist, education advocate, and author of The Voice of the Student. Here to help reimagine education so that teachers are better resourced, students are truly seen, and classrooms become places where both can thrive. This space is dedicated to you, our hardworking teachers and educators, offering grounded, science-backed, energetically aware strategies to support your well-being so your classroom can better meet and exceed the needs of your unique 21st century students. So take a breath, settle in, and let's explore how caring for your nervous system, your intention, and your energy is one of the most powerful ways to transform education from the inside out. Everything in this movement to reimagine education for both teachers and students rests on a simple truth. When we regulate the adult nervous system first, we create the conditions for adolescent brains to feel safe enough to learn, take risks, and engage more fully in the education experience. When your body is grounded and your energy is intentional, you can design a classroom that works with, not against, the teenage brain, so well-being and learning rise together. What if the key to better grades, fewer conflicts, and a calmer classroom wasn't a new curriculum, but emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence, or EQ, is our ability to recognize, understand, and manage our emotions and relationships, and it's one of the strongest predictors of student success. Today, we'll talk about why EQ matters so much for adolescents, and how you can quietly build emotional intelligence into your everyday routines without sacrificing content. In the Engage Classroom online course, EQ is woven through everything, from expectations to reflection, so you're not adding one more thing, you're changing the way existing things feel. So why does emotional intelligence matter so much for teens? As you're probably aware, adolescents are navigating intense brain changes, identity questions, and social dynamics, often all in one day. High EQ helps them name what they're feeling instead of acting out, navigate friendships and conflict with more empathy, and stay engaged and motivated even when things get hard. Research and classroom experience both show that students with stronger emotional skills tend to have better relationships, fewer behavior issues, and more consistent academic growth. They're also more resilient when stress and anxiety hits. One of the simplest ways to build EQ is to normalize talking about emotions, not in a forced or performative way, but as a regular part of being human in your classroom. You might use things like a mood meter, emotion wheel, or a simple thumbs up, sideways, or down at the start of class. You can offer sentence stems for quick writes or pair shares like, "Today I'm coming in feeling ... because ... You can say how you feel matters here. When we know it's happening inside, it's easier to support learning on the outside. Over time, you're teaching students that emotions are information, not something to hide or be ashamed of. Next, understand that students watch how you handle frustration, mistakes, and conflict as much as they listen to what you say about it. Your nervous system is one of their biggest teachers. You might model EQ by naming your own state in age-appropriate ways. Like, maybe I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed with this situation, so I'm going to take a few slow breaths before I answer. When you model breathing, pause moments, or other well-being strategies, you can also normalize choice. For some people, especially those with a trauma history, certain patterns of breathing or closing the eyes can feel activating rather than calming. Let students know there are options to use to calm and reground themselves, so they should choose what best supports them. Emotional regulation tools should always feel optional and supportive, not forced. You can also use I feel statements instead of blame-triggering wording, like saying, "I feel concerned when side conversations start because I want everyone to have a fair shot at learning this." And when you repair after a tense moment, perhaps it's some version of, "I was sharper than I meant to be earlier, I apologize, and I'm working on how I respond when I'm stressed," to better reflect how I feel. You're actually teaching self-awareness, accountability, and healthy relationship repair all at once. You don't need a separate EQ unit to teach emotional intelligence. You can weave it into what you're already doing. Depending on your subject, you might ask, like in an English lit class, what might this character have been feeling? Or explore how stress and emotions impact decision-making in classes like history or social studies, and discuss real-world ethical or emotional dimensions of scientific or technical issues. You can also use group projects as practice grounds for active listening, managing frustration when others work differently, and giving and receiving constructively kind feedback. Explicitly name these as EQ skills, saying to your students, this isn't just about the project, it's about learning how to collaborate, communicate, and adjust when things don't go as planned. In the Engage Classroom online course, you'll find reflection prompts and routines that help you embed this kind of EQ work into your lessons without needing a separate curriculum. Here's one simple EQ-focused routine you can try this week in a single class. Start class with a quick feelings check-in. It could be a mood meter, thumbs up, or a one-word share about how they're feeling. Then in the middle of class, offer a pause moment, plus 30 seconds of reflection on what am I feeling right now and what do I need. Then at the end of the class, use an exit ticket. What emotion I noticed today was, and it impacted my learning by. This flow helps students practice noticing, naming, and reflecting on emotions in real time. These are the foundations of strong emotional intelligence. When you prioritize emotional intelligence, you're not taking time away from learning, you're building the foundation that makes deep learning possible. A classroom that welcomes emotions and teaches students what to do with them is a classroom where engagement, resilience, and human connection can actually thrive. You deserve a space where your emotions are honored too, and that begins with the way you design the energy and routines of your classroom. Before we end, I'd love to hear from you. What's one small EQ habit you're willing to try this week? Maybe it's a feelings check-in, a pause moment, or an exit ticket question. And what's the exact sentence you'll use to introduce it to your students? Drop your sentence in the comments so other teachers can borrow or adapt it for their own classrooms. And thank you for spending this time with the voice of the student. Here, teacher well-being is not an afterthought, it's the foundation. When the adult nervous system is grounded, classrooms become safer, more human spaces where the adolescent brain can finally exhale, engage, and thrive. If this episode sparked ideas for your classroom, imagine what's possible with a step-by-step roadmap and a community of educators doing this work alongside you. Head over to thevoiceofthestudent.com to learn more about my foundational, self-paced online course, The Engage Classroom, and my educator training, The Reimagine Educator Method, both designed to help you transform the teacher-student experience with science-backed tools, intentional classroom energy, and sustainable habits that work in real schools with real students. And if this episode supported you, please like, subscribe, and follow The Voice of the Student and share it with one teacher friend. Together, we can elevate the teacher-student experience, one nervous system, one class, one student, one teacher, and one school at a time. Your energy, your intention, and your voice matter more than you know. Listen, innovate, educate, and thanks for listening and all that you do. Until next time on The Voice of the Student.